Okay, I think we're live now. Hi guys. So we're a startup called the Trevi. We're based out of Guwahati, Assam, India, and we've organized this series of webinars, out of which this is the first. And we aim to provide the students with an opportunity to learn from professionals in the respective fields of the webinars. And this webinar that we're hosting today is based on architecture and planning, for which we have four wonderful speakers. Madhura.
Thank you so much, Nidish. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome all those who have joined in. Right now, we have with us Dennis Pipers. He has been educated at Harvard Graduate School of Design and University of Toronto School of Architecture. His 30 years of both national and international experience encompass diverse project types, including urban districts, new communities, campus environments, waterfronts, and urban regeneration. He approaches his urban design work collaboratively, integrating landscape, planning, and architecture with a critical understanding of the forces that shape contemporary cities. I'd like to welcome you. The mic and the screen is yours.
Okay, should I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'd let you know when it comes up. Okay, yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, well, I'm very excited and pleased to be here with you, and hope you're all doing well. I know it's a challenging time, but it's also a good time to think about the future and what our cities might be like. So I will talk a bit about myself and experience, and then show you some work that I've been involved in and how that relates to thinking about practice in design and cities. Just something on my personal background. I went to architecture school and University of Toronto. And while I was studying in Toronto, I took a year off and did something that had a profound effect on me. I interned for two really good architects, one in Amsterdam, Herman Hertzberger, and the other, Edward Cullinan, in London. Both of them, interestingly, a few years after I left their offices, they both were awarded the RIBA Gold Medal a few years apart. So I learned a huge amount from them. I went back, finished my University of Toronto, and then went to Harvard University to do a Master of Architecture in Urban Design. And once I graduated, after working for a professor, I joined Sasaki. So I've been at Sasaki for quite a while, and it's been a remarkable experience. Sasaki was founded by Hideo Sasaki in 1953, and he founded the firm as an interdisciplinary design practice. So that means you have all these different experts from all these different fields working together in a collaborative way. And our primary disciplines are planning urban design, landscape architecture, and architecture and interior design. One of the interesting things we've done at the office is we have an incubator, which is something that brings in people from the outside, experts, students, people from many different fields to work with us, to explore and research and think about the future of planning and design. So we work all over the world, based in Boston and with a small office in Shanghai and now in Denver. And we work really in many different places. Actually, we're starting to work a bit in Africa as well now. So these themes around urbanism and cities are what's in our mind these days. You can see the sort of diverse array of issues that we think about, and we try and think about them all simultaneously. So every aspect that you see on the screen comes into play when we think about our work. So I'll talk about a few projects. This is in Chicago, the river, very famous place, incredible buildings, density, urbanism. But if you look at the actual river, there are no people there. It's inaccessible. It's kind of empty. It's service areas. And we were asked to look at this, and we developed a plan for this whole edge that went from this to this. So you can see a sort of utter transformation to make it a very people-oriented place, to bring people right down to the water's edge, to introduce uses into the edge of the place under the street where there were just empty storage spaces. So you now have cafes and restaurants, and look at the diverse number of people sitting here. And you can see they connect in a continuous pedestrian walk under the bridges to the next space, which is treated differently. So with subtle grade changes, everyone gets to see a view of the river, and you have all these diverse, different kind of places and ways to experience the public space. So this is the power of design. It's how design can influence the way people live and the way they experience places. We think about resilience. Just after the new project opened, there was a big flood in Chicago and the whole place was inundated. But within a day, it was back to normal. So here you see the different rooms, each one different. We were looking at the one called Cove, and here is the one called River Theater. So you can see this grand set of steps with a ramp going up to the street above. And so the whole thing becomes like an amphitheater to the water. And here is another one based on a kind of boardwalk. You can see the interaction between people and the canoe travelers and people fishing and using the space like a pier. And you can also see the constructed wetlands that we've made in between. And so these kind of different places allow different events to happen, different scale of activity, and whether it's day or night, a dramatic change for this unique part of Chicago. So bringing nature and accessibility for everyone in this important public space. And you can just see the location and how critical thinking about public realm is to the future of our cities. This is an older project, but I think it's interesting in that we were looking to work in China. We had done a few projects, and we decided as a firm to enter a competition for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. So this was around 2003. And you know, the Olympics was important to China because the site they selected was at the far end of this axis. So you see the Forbidden City here at the heart of Beijing. And there in the north, you see just beyond the last ring road, which is now out of date because there's a few more ring roads, is a huge site, almost 2,000 acres, for the future Beijing Olympics. And it was a somewhat undeveloped site, but we developed a plan that would create major new public spaces and position the stadia and the Olympic events in a very strategic way that reinforced the axis of the historic city, which connected all the way back to the heart of the city and Chinese history and some of the other major spaces. We deliberately didn't put the stadium of the Olympics on the axis. We kept it open so that it was more of a gesture towards accessibility and a place for Chinese citizens, visitors, to experience the district and its public spaces. We also worked hard to integrate Chinese culture and Chinese history into the plan through the recognition of important events or places in the sequence of public spaces along the axis. There were also transit stations integrated, and we thought very hard about the post-Olympic era. What happens after the Olympics are over? That's only 16 days. So here you see how we integrated our plan with the grid of the surrounding neighborhoods, and so that in the post-Olympic era, other uses could be introduced, mixed uses, cultural uses that would make it a real living part of the city. And here you can see on the left our plan, and on the right a Google Earth image of the place during the just after the Olympics, and you can see how seamlessly integrated the new district is. When we were doing the project, we developed guidelines for the big Olympic facilities that were going to be design competitions, and the national stadium, the Olympic stadium, was won by a Swiss firm called Herzog Demeron, and they designed this kind of stunning building, which was the main venue for the Olympics. And next to the swimming complex, it kind of formed a gateway. So it was a kind of spectacular event, the Olympic Games. But afterwards, the whole place becomes just a living part of the city. And so we have to think about all the issues that I raised earlier about contemporary urbanism and how you think about urban design and planning as a benefit to society. So here you see that great public space leading to the historic center of Beijing. And so now this becomes just a living part of the city. Much of our work involves new communities, especially in Asia, where you have growing populations and incredible pressures and demands on creating living space. And this is a project in the Philippines where we wanted to try some innovative ideas. And our client was very supportive of challenging the norm. And as designers and planners, that is kind of key. You've got to think about how you can improve the quality of life for ordinary people. And that doesn't mean that the investor or the developer or the city aren't rewarded financially for the investment, but it's to make the investment in a way that is sustainable and addresses the issues of contemporary urban life. So Ananas is near a place like this. This is how typical development works in this part of the Philippines. They do a plan, they sell parcels, and then nothing happens, or a few random places get built, but it doesn't add up to anything. Our site had some really interesting features. There were some ravines. It was located quite strategically near Manila. And our idea was to protect the ravines and to develop a series of neighborhoods that linked one side of the ravine on the west to the east, and to create a heart, what we called a central park. And across the park, across the districts, you see on the right, these green arrows, we developed what we call pollinator paths that would become organizing elements in each neighborhood. And so we connected up all the neighborhoods with a main spine, with retail and mixed uses. We created the ravine system as a network of parks. And these pollinator paths became a place for urban agriculture. The place used to be used for farmland, and so we transformed these sites into great neighborhoods that have a human scale to them, but that also offer places where people can grow food, and where businesses and restaurants might benefit as well. So here's a typical neighborhood trying to reduce the heat island effect, shade, reduce the dominance of the car through these parking courts. And here you see the evolution of the pollinator path, which is a series of agriculture plots. So when you buy a house, you can also buy a plot nearby. And so people take over their land and they grow their own food. And at the heart, we have a public market and cultural buildings and sports and recreation and just green space that allows for people to get away from the neighborhoods into the communal heart of the district. Streets, we thought about shade and stormwater management and the active edges that you need to support urban life. Cultural places that capture the spirit of the Philippines and their culture and public space, and sports and recreation for people of all ages at the heart of the community. And so a really interesting, forward-looking idea that allows for urban agriculture to be entwined with urban living. A lot of our work involves universities, and we think about universities and their relationship to the city. So here you have Monterrey Tech in Mexico, a very forward-looking institution. It's a private university founded by a graduate from MIT, so very engineering dominated. And it's an important campus founded in the mid-1940s, and today is one of the most significant institutions in Mexico and Latin America. And all around the campus, the city has grown up. And here you see the campus and its academic core, but a lot of land that's not used very well, a lot of surface parking or empty land. And so we looked at all this and said, how can we optimize the campus and its future growth? And how can we transform the campus into a living part of the city? We use all sorts of technology tools to network with the community, to engage with the campus community. And here you see just a summary chart of how people use the campus, their favorite places. We had over 2,000 responses, and we used that data to get a better understanding of the campus. We also recognized that there were really innovative things going on in the campus, but people didn't know about that. And so we wanted to transform the university experience into a more complete student development. So it's not just about academics and the classroom, but it's about student life, engagement with the city, wellness, sports, recreation, culture, and all these things go towards student development. So the whole campus and the city, in fact, is the classroom. The campus was very gated and closed, and so we said, let's look at how the campus connects to the larger community. This was very important if you want a campus that's an engine of regeneration and economic growth for the city. And so the plan that emerged, because the campus was growing very quickly, was a strengthened academic core, and then 2 mixed-use research districts that involved a lot of new ideas that would entwine with the academic agenda of the university. So we developed new programs at the academic core. This is a new design school that will be built in the academic core of the campus. But next to the campus, on those parking lots that you saw, we started to develop what we call an innovation ecosystem. So bringing together academic life, research, collaboration, entrepreneurship, partners, all in the city campus as a district. This kind of thinking relies very heavily on people meeting each other and engaging with each other, and in terms of spontaneous engagement, planned engagement. So how to set up a district so that people will connect. And so just to look at one of those areas, we developed a plan that would create a major new public space with an innovation hub. And then around it, all these research facilities, housing, market housing, student housing, all connected to the academic core. And we started to do study models, so much higher density here. And then we're now designing the 2 buildings in white and the major public spaces. So it'll be phased over time. And this is the first research hub, which will have labs and a whole array of incubators and learning and research spaces facing the street. And so it ultimately becomes a highly integrated district connected to the academic core, but also to the city and its surroundings. So this is the future of universities, not isolated, focused entirely on academics, but on partnerships beyond. One of the things that came out of all this work was a research project around what is 21st century learning? What is the 21st century campus? And Tech 21 was developed as a new curriculum agenda for the university based on collaboration and flexibility. And so we did research into new places of learning, the flexible classroom, the flexible lab. And one of the key projects that came out of that was a transformation of the campus library. And here you see the original library on campus from the 70s, really a dull box, no one in there, dominated by books. And we developed a whole new concept, the library as a learning center, as a learning hub. So introducing different uses, de-emphasizing the storage of books. So the new library is transparent and open and accessible. It's sustainable around this open courtyard. And so the new library becomes this. So you can see the books are de-emphasized. This becomes a place for students to collaborate, to meet with teachers, with visitors, amongst themselves in a very diverse array of meeting places. And so this is opening day. This completely transformed the campus as a learning environment. So the power of design, ideas, working with great clients, you can really change people's lives and how they connect with each other. So remember the original library with no one in it? Here's the 21st century library. And this is a cafe. I think there are 4 cafes in the building. No one needs to worry about spilling their coffee on the books because the books are kept in a separate area and really de-emphasized. And although people have access to a lot of books through technical storage systems, the library is really a powerful new learning center. We also looked at how the academic core and the university would relate to all the neighborhoods around the campus, thinking of improving the streets, engaging with the community in the city, making new public spaces open to the community, so the university and the community can come together in a whole array of events. This project was recognized by a global award program for its innovation and transformation as a campus in the city. And the idea of the plan and its implementation has had a profound influence on investment, on quality of life, on improved neighborhoods, improved streets for the people living there, and for the campus itself. Again, showing the power of planning and design. So I hope that was interesting for you. I'd be pleased to answer any questions and have a conversation.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It was actually a very lovely presentation.